Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Classics with Courtney. And today we're going to take a look at the 1954 classic White Christmas.
Never saw the sun shine so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurry and by when you're in love, my heart they fly. Oh,
Lord help the mister who comes between me and my sister. And Lord help the sister who comes between me and my man.
The two greatest figures in show business, Bing and Danny, as two ex-GIs who form the perfect partnership. Rosemary and Vera Ellen as the sisters who have them in a spin, with Dean Jagger as the unemployed general they take under their wing.
Apparently, there's still quite a bit about show business I don't understand.
Oh, it'll come to you, sir. Just takes time. We wouldn't be any good as generals.
You weren't any good as privates.
A wonderful story that will warm your hearts, just as the breathtaking scope of a new screen wonder will widen your eyes. White Christmas in VistaVision.
And you'll fall asleep, counting your blessings. The best thing happen while you're dancing. Things that you would not do at home come naturally on the floor. Handy, there's a minister handy, and it sure would be dandy if we let him make a fee. So don't you linger, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Bob Wallace, played by Bing Crosby, and Phil Davis, played by Danny Kaye, become a top-notch musical comedy team after the war and are now the toast of Broadway. While on the road to Florida, the stars become involved with two aspiring singers, the sister act of Betty and Judy, played respectively by Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen. Plans change and they all go to Vermont, where they meet up with the old major, played by Dean Jagger, who is running a rundown inn in Vermont. And all four of them decide to put on a show that will hopefully boost the business and bring the general back up into spirits for Christmas. This is one of those Christmas movies I grew up with, though it wasn't heavily watched. My mom taped it, so it wasn't one that we would always grab. We watched it, my mom and I watched it on the big screen early last year, I believe, when it came out in theaters. And it was a really fun experience. It's a good movie, but this one drops very low on my highly watched list. But before I get to that, I'll talk about the positives first. First is the casting. The great Bing Crosby, Rosemary Clooney together, Vera Ellen, Danny Kaye, Dean Jagger, Mary Wicks. I mean, you have a great lineup of a cast, and it is a very good movie when it comes to the casting. Two, the music. The music is so good in this movie. I mean, who remembers or can forget, so to speak, Count Your Blessings, Mandy, White Christmas. There's just so many songs in this story, in the soundtrack, that is so good and so hummable. No lie, where I work, we have a woman named Mandy. Not in our department, so to speak, but at work. And every time I see her, I always sing the song, Mandy, there's a minister handy. 3, the overall look of the film, and I'm talking the costumes, the lighting, the cinematography, everything about this movie is gorgeous. Ironically, my mom said that she had more fun watching The Wizard of Oz on the big screen than White Christmas, which I understood, but I still was in awe of how beautiful the film looked on the big screen. It was such a cool experience. If you want to know more thoughts on that, I believe I have a short when I did go see that movie on the big screen right here on the channel. So you can go into the shorts and take a look at that if you so desire. Despite all the positives of the film, I want to talk about why I really don't care for it as much as other Christmas classics. And one person happened to ruin it, and that was the character of Mary Wicks. So to go over all the basic story, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to give a spoiler alert now so that you are aware that I will be giving away spoilers. So without further ado, let's get to it. So once our 4 people come to Vermont and they see the general's problem, Danny and Bing come up with the idea of putting on a show, and the girls are all for it. So they come up with the show to bring business in. Romance flies between Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney, because by this point, Vera Ellen and Danny Kaye are already kind of romantically involved in a way. So we're only interested in Bing and Rosemary at this point. However, there's a point where Bob Wallace, played by Bing, is going to go on a radio program to bring all the soldiers that worked under him in. You see, the general wanted to go back and serve even more in the army, but he got a letter stating that basically they don't need him. And he got the idea, they're telling him he's too old, they don't want him. So it breaks his heart, and that's where Bob Wallace and his buddy decide, let's bring in our friends that served under him, and we're going to really boost up his spirits, which is great. The problem is, when he's on a call to the guy on the radio program, the guy for the radio program is like, well, let's broadcast this. Let's make this a big thing, right? Which basically would mean that the general would be humiliated. Now, Mary Wick's character is always on the phone. So basically, if there's a private call, she's always on another line listening into someone else's conversation. Well, she hears part of the conversation, which is the offer, but doesn't hear Bob's response because she gets interrupted and hangs up the phone quickly. Now, what then happens is once the granddaughter leaves, she picks up the phone and only hears the tail end of the conversation. So she assumes that Bob is going to betray the general and then spreads this to Rosemary Clooney's character. This is where the movie really drops down for me. I cannot stand this character. She's the one that ruins the whole movie for me. We already have that drama dealing with the general and wanting to put on a show. To me, that was the drama there. You could have kept that whole thing there, kept the romance going, but no. The film decides to go, let's add more drama. So you put in a misunderstanding. Bob is treated like garbage by Betty, played by Rosemary Clooney, and you got this whole fallout of romance until the very end of the story. That drives me nuts. I had a similar problem with a movie called Bathing Beauty with Esther Williams. There was a similar plot there where a misunderstanding is involved, and I tried watching it again very recently this summer, and all it did was just make me angry. Despite many fans of Esther Williams loving that movie, I don't like that movie because of that whole storyline. To me, it's just too mean, and I just don't care for that kind of story. And that's what ruins White Christmas for me. In fact, when I did watch it on the big screen, I left during that part. I'm like, I'm leaving. I don't want to see this. I always fast forward this part when I watch it on DVD. I just don't like this portion of the story. And the only time the story picks up for me is when the misunderstanding is cleared up and Betty realizes the information she got was wrong, and she goes back and, makes up with Bob. Okay, but that's at the end of the story. You have a good portion of the story where Bob is being treated like garbage and Betty is, being whatever. It's like, you know what? Ask him. Ask him, hey, listen, what are you doing? What is the idea? All you had to do was ask him. But she doesn't, and we have this drama, and I don't like it. Again, despite my issue with that, I don't think it's a horrible movie. I do like it to an extent. It's just not one that I would throw on for the sake of throwing on. It's just one of those ones that I really, really have to be in a mood for. And I probably only watch it maybe only once a year. Whereas I can go back and watch other Christmas classics like Christmas in Connecticut or Holiday Affair, Scrooge. I can watch those multiple times for the month of December. White Christmas, not really. I can only go back to it maybe once a year. So if you guys stuck around for that rant, I hope you guys have enjoyed the review. I don't want to end on a negative note. Like I said, the movie is good. It is well made. And there's a lot of fun stuff in the film. So I definitely highly recommend it if you're into the classics. It's just not one of my favorites. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed this little review of mine. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen this movie. And if you have, did I pique your interest? Or are you staying out of Vermont this year? Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Have a great and wonderful day.